Hey guys, so I'm interested in doing more videos about language, words, and stuff like that, like disorganized speech like I used to do, or just building exercises for words and understanding what's actually being said. So we're gonna see how this goes, and so I'm gonna ask ChatGPT to give me 5 words. So it said, give me 5 words that pertain to a certain subject, and I have to guess what it is. Orbit, gravity, atmosphere, crater, horizon. Orbit, gravity. Um, I would say moon, but the moon doesn't have an atmosphere. Horizon, you could say, is a black hole, but that has no crater and no atmosphere. Technically, it doesn't even have an orbit. Um, is it generic? Is it like a general thing? Well, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't be astrophysics because that doesn't have anything to do with graders. Um, I don't know. What is it? It says it's a planet. Horizon didn't fit Earth, and orbit doesn't fit the planet, more specifically a rocky planet like Earth or the Moon if you lean on crater. That's what I was thinking, but the Moon has no atmosphere. Um, it said make it more general, like a specific event that has happened using 5 words. Specific real world event but description: smoke, sirens, ash, evacuation, aftermath. Smoke, sirens, ash, evacuation, aftermath. Ash is the thing that doesn't really fit because smoke, ash would be like a volcanic eruption, but sirens and evacuation. Uh, could also be a fire, wildfire. But if it's a specific horror event, that wouldn't be very specific. Mm, Well, I know. Um, I have no idea. I have a. Ash leads me to think it's a volcanic eruption. But I don't know if sirens were. I don't know if there was an evacuation. What I'm thinking about is the recent eruption in Italy. Wouldn't be Pompeii because they didn't have sirens back then, and that they didn't have evacuations either. Um, they didn't have evacuations at St. Helens. Um, so it is a volcanic eruption. Um, the only thing I can think of. I asked, is it the volcanic eruption that happened in Italy in the last few years? Yeah, uh, yeah, Sicily. I had heard about that because my family is from Sicily, and yeah, I was referring to a recent eruption of Mount Etna in Sicily, Italy. Europa's most active volcano, Mount Etna, has been erupting intermittently throughout 2025 and through early 2026, with lava flows, ash plumes, and explosive activity reported as recent as late December and January. So this is rather recent. So the event Eurofive words were hinting at wasn't ancient like uh, can't pronounce that. It's a modern volcanic eruption on Mount Etna that actually happened recently in Italy. Yeah, because you had sirens and evacuation. You wouldn't be able to evacuate people from a volcanic eruption unless it was recent because of the sensors and the ability to do that these days and to measure and monitor that. So, Tori, give me another 5 words for a recent event. Championship, She-Hulk's halftime, Santa Clara, Bad Bunny. That would be very recent. That was like, what was that, like a few days ago with, oh man, what, the Super Bowl, right? Yeah, halftime Seahawks, yeah. This was a few days ago. Now, I don't watch football. I don't really care for football. Um, but I know I've heard of Bad Bunny in recent times. Like literally, I could go on my phone right now, and I literally have a notification from an hour ago talking about Bad Bunny refuses to perform at the Grammys. I don't know who Bad Bunny is, but he's been showing up in my feeds lately, and that was on Threads. So the only reason I know that is because someone was watching that the other day, and it was a Super Bowl. I mean, it was the Seahawks, and it was a really big deal. And yeah, wait a minute. It says February 8th. But what was that a few days ago then? You know, last I don't watch much football, but I know that the Seahawks were doing something the other day. Like last week it was. Maybe over the weekend. I don't remember. I said, give me another one, but make it less recent and something random. Ship, iceberg, Atlantic, lifeboat. Titanic. That was actually the one that I was hoping would give me. Titanic. It's a Titanic. When you said iceberg, well, ship and iceberg. I said, make it harder and give me 10 words. Skyfire, 1908. I don't know this. That would be Siberia. That's on the other side of Russia. Shockwave. What would have happened in 1908? Skyfire. Would it be a some sort of meteor or something? Is it some kind of meteor or something? Yes, the Tunguska event, a massive meteor airburst explosion over Siberia in 1908. I think I've heard of that. Vaguely. The name sounds familiar to me. That word sounds familiar to me. I just don't know. Interesting. They get some crazy stuff over there in Russia. There was that 1 meter what was it? A asteroid, whatever it was, went through Chelyabinsk, which is over there in Russia. Like, I believe it's like is that like north, like western, northwestern Russia? That was like in 2013, I think it was. Let's do another one. Let's give it another format. Let's say give another one, but make it into a poem. Still bird hums above silent dust. A flagon flows where the wind has none. One small step floats through the void. Shadows fall that never move. Everything's blue watching. Well, when you say one small step, that makes me think of Neil Armstrong when he landed on the moon. Still bird hums above silent dust. A flagon flows where wind has... Yeah, where the wind has none, that would be the moon. It's the moon landing. Okay, let's try to mislead me. Broadcast started, countdown celebration, millions delay, silence, applause, return, error. So some of the words don't mean anything, is what I'm getting. So it sounds something along the lines of, well, actually, the words do have meaning. I would say, is this the year 2000? Does this have something to do with Y2K? Apollo 13 moons. Because I was thinking the year 2000 when the ball drops and nothing happens. Oh yeah, Apollo 13, yeah. Um, Apollo 13 was a big thing. I saw the movie. And I've actually been in mission control where they actually had Apollo 13 mission for the. Wait, no. I'm thinking about. Well, it was both. It was both for Apollo 11 and Apollo 13. Um, am I thinking about the right movie? Hang on, I gotta Google that. Am I thinking about? Was it Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks, where they gotta go around? They have to go around something. Then they have to use the orbit, and then they had to shut down almost everything, and and then that's where they came up with failure was not an option. In Houston, we have a problem. That's Apollo 13. I've seen this movie. Well, everything does go wrong, and I wasn't there, so I wouldn't really know that firsthand account. I guess you had to be there to figure that out, so the older audience would have pointed that out. I'm looking at my EcoFlow here. It just turned on. The screen did. Give another one. Misdirection, real harder. Signal dawn, border, silence, code, confusion, standby, release, handshake. Um. That could be a few things. Um. What board are we talking about? What code? Signal, dawn, border, silence, code, confusion, standby, release, relief, handshake. Relief. These are difficult. Um, it has to be some sort of war. One word, is it about a war of some kind? Okay, so it is a war. Um, when you say code, that makes you think of the Enigma machine. Border, handshake, dawn, confusion, relief. I would. I said, is that the day Enigma was broken. So at the end of a war, not breakthrough, and the merchant was in the code. Oh! Why is this not working? Signal dawn. Handshake. Dawn. Dawn. Are we talking about... Are we talking about the handshake of, did they shake hands? Hang on, what's the hints again? Code confusion. I don't know, that's so... I don't know. Because the end of a war, the handshake... Like, is this recent or is this... Can you give me a year of when this happened? 1953. That would be after War II. That's 2 years before Stalin died. 1953. Handshake. Handshake. 1953. That's like 10 years after World War II. I don't know. The end of a war. What war happened in 1953? It wasn't the Cold War. Wait, what was the hint? Signal dawn. Oh, we... No, it wouldn't have been... The moon landing was of July of 1959. Is it? I think it was July of 1959. What? What month and year was when the moon landing took place? July of 1969. Not 1959, 1969. So it's not the space race. They've been too far off. I don't know. I have no idea. I said I have no idea what is it. The Korean War, almost July 27th of 1953. Demilitarization zone. Let's go back to 5 words again. Wall, Berlin, Concrete Division, 19. The fall of the Berlin Wall, 1989. We talked about it before. It was, what was it, November 9th of 1989? The fall of the Berlin Wall. I think it was November 9th of 1989. Yeah, November 9th, 1989. Fall of the Berlin Wall. Stone Egypt languages offering 1799. 1799. It sounds very specific, but I don't know what it is. Discovery of the Rosetta Stone. Yeah, I figured it was something very specific, but I just didn't know the date, the year. Hieroglyphs, yeah, I figured as much. Let's do more modern and obscure. Server Iceland Leak Journalist 2016. 2016 Iceland. I don't know. It sounds important. If you're talking about journalists, that sounds very important. There was some sort of leak. Iceland. I don't know what happened in Iceland. 2016. That would have been... I have an idea, but I'm sure that it's wrong. So what is it? Panama Papers. Yeah, it sounded important. It's just that I'm not familiar with it. The Panama Papers. I've heard of that. Very little. Yeah. So give me another one. Algorithm Benchmarks Researchers Parallel 2016. Is that what was it called? Involved Facebook. Wasn't it something like Cambridge? Cambridge Analytics or something like that? I said, are you referring to Cambridge Analytics or something like that? Or whatever it's called, I mean. AlphaGo defeating... What? What is this? DeepMind's AlphaGo... AI text and complex games. DeepMind. What was DeepMind? You're the Mets. What game are we talking about? DeepMind. That sounds familiar to me. What is DeepMind? What game are we talking about? It would jog my memory if I heard what the game was. Go. Relies more on intuition and pattern recognition than brute force calculation. Go. I've heard of this. It sounds familiar to me, but it's so... Yeah, that would have been something on the very back of my mind. I completely forgot about that. It does sound familiar to me. I remember DeepMind. I remember something along the lines that something... But I know it wasn't chess. That's already been done. See, me and you me and the audience are learning something here. That's why I like to do these. Even if you don't know the answer, you at least learn something. Modern, well known, not obscure. Pandemic, lockdowns, mask, vaccines, 2020. I don't know. It's obviously COVID. Obviously. Give me one in a poem. Give me one in a poem about an event. Silent streets beneath bright screens. Sound like Times Square. A voice speaks numbers, not names. Crowds gather without bodies. Not names. Voice. Crowds gather without bodies. Candles glow in separate rooms. History pauses thinking, what am I? Bright screens. Voice speaks numbers, not names. Crowds gather without bodies. Candles glow in separate rooms. Here's a poem clue for a well-known event. A voice speaks numbers, not names. Voice speaks numbers. Crowds gather without... I'm lost on that one. I'm lost on all of them, really. I don't know what you're referring to. So I need a hint. It's an event where the entire world was watching at the same time, but no one was physically together, and it happened at night in the United States. No one physically together? That makes me think of Times Square. A voice speaks numbers, not names. Candles glow in separate rooms. At night in the United States. It's not... It wouldn't be time. It wouldn't be New Year's, the ball dropping, even though that would happen in Times Square. But there's always crowds over there, and they do have bodies, and Candles glow in separate rooms. I don't know what that means. Give me a year. 2020. And this happened in the United States in 2020. A lot of things happened in 2020. There was lockdowns, people couldn't go anywhere, and silent streets beneath bright screens. Candles glow in separate rooms. I'm lost. I don't know. I'm bad at this, guys. 2020. Say, give me a single phrase. Whatever that means. Election. Oh, president election. Really? Let's. Silent streets, but not. A voice speaks numbers, not names. Crowds gather bodies. I would have never guessed that. Candles glow in separate. What does that have to do with candles? So what does that have to do with candles? Candles are a common symbol for visual rating and hope. During which people were staying up like watching slow counts with multiple days. Because of COVID, people were doing this alone at home, often at night. But they did that in every election. I say, give me something that is a real world event that couldn't apply to any other year. Millennium bug clocks roll over 2000. Y2K. We just had that discussion, which didn't happen, by the way. Although I will say, Y2K actually kind of did happen, quote unquote. It was. What year was this? It was either 2020 or 2021. It's in the fix of Y2K, and some systems were updated to be set up for like a rollover for an offset, and that the problem lied in 2021. It was 2020 and 2021 where it got confused and it thought it was a rollover date, and you couldn't log into some banking stuff. I remember that because I was doing trades at the time, and you couldn't log in for like a few days while they were fixing this. What was it? I said, what was a 2020 or 2021 bug where it applied to a certain fix to Y2K and it caused some banking issues? In early 2020, New York City's parking meters and some other business systems stopped working because the code only entered dates up to 2019 or 2020, not beyond. This happened because older software that had been patched or only partially updated for Y2K era fixes didn't correctly support later dates. Essentially, a Y2K. So why wasn't global banking catastrophe? It was a notable real-world computing glitch in 2020. Data handling. And we talked about the Unix year 2038 problem. It wasn't just parking meters. It was also, it happened to at least TD Ameritrade, because that's what I was using. And it was a big thing. No one could log in. And it affected thousands of people. And people were pretty upset because people were in the middle of trades. And they were losing money. And they couldn't do anything. So, yeah, that was a real thing that had happened. Um, I say, give me a point of real world event that happened, some well known event, but not too recent. Cold morning, breath hangs white. Teachers in church watch the sky. Fire becomes a branching flower. Cheers collapse into silence. Lessons in before they begin. So it happened in the morning. Teachers in church watch the sky. Fire becomes a branching flower. Flower. Cheers collapse into silence. Lessons in before they begin. What this reminds me of. Actually, this reminds me of a story. It might be what this is referring to. Just got an email. This reminds me of a story I recently read about on Facebook. But I don't remember fire happening. It was it reminds me of the story of, what was it? Was it, I think it was Challenger. Was it Challenger? Was it Columbia? Columbia, I believe, was in 2000s. I think it's Challenger, because the story is that it was the first time a teacher was on a space shuttle going to space, and yeah, and it explodes. I said, "Is this about a space shuttle in one word?" I believe it would be Challenger. Is it Challenger? Was it Challenger? The Space Shuttle Challenger disaster of January 28th, 1986. Yeah, there was a teacher on board, and that's why schools were. It was a big thing that a teacher was on a space shuttle, and the engineers said they couldn't go through with it because something was wrong with the temperature was not right. Something was wrong, but NASA went ahead and did it, despite being told they shouldn't do it. So yeah, I only know that because I saw that it was like yesterday I heard about that. The story about the teacher and all that. Say, give me another poem. A single shot fresher than noon air. Crowds scatter, radios crackle. Motorcade slows and stops. Shooting of JFK. History spills onto the street and a nation learns disbelief. I know that because you said motorcade. The only time I ever hear that word murdercade is because of JFK. And then I went back and said single shot fractures. Yeah. I don't know what time it happened, but that's what it reminds me of. And the nation learns this, that would be the United States. The shooting of JFK. I said, give another. Crowds press forward at iron gates, Chanceacre under gray skies. Stone gives way, hands pull strangers up. Flags rise where guards once stood, and borders begin to fade. What even is this pointing to? Iron gates. It sounds like the Berlin Wall, but I'm not sure. Hands pull strangers up. It doesn't sound like the Berlin Wall to me. Iron gates. It sounds like the Berlin Wall, but I don't think it's the Berlin Wall. I said it sounds like the Berlin Wall, but it doesn't sound like Berlin Wall. It is the fall of Berlin Wall. Helping each other over. I was lost on the hands pulling strangers up. So give me one that is literal. Televised towers burn in blue sky, 9/11. Plane strikes still at morning rush. Ash covered streets and fleeing crowds. Sirens echo through lower Manhattan. 2 buildings fall and the war stops. 9/11. I was in 4th grade when it happened. I remember I came home and it was all over the news. And the next day, I remember everyone in the school, we all wrote letters. We decided who we could write letters to, whether it was the police, firefighters, and all them. But I wrote to the firefighters. I don't know what I said, but I remember I did have to write a letter to. I don't know if every school did it, but I know my school did it. But I think everyone in every classroom did it. But yeah, I was in 4th grade when that happened, and I was in science, and we wrote these, and I wrote in science class, this letter. Yeah. Yeah, I do remember 9/11. reactor doors sealed for a test. Chernobyl. Reactor doors do, reactor doors sealed for a test. When you say a test, that's a scram. That would be the AZ Vive, Chernobyl. Control rods halt, then surge upward. A flash of blast, graphite burns, firefighters come without protection, an exclusion zone is drawn on maps. Chernobyl. It's Chernobyl. Chernobyl nuclear disaster, April 26, 1986. Yep. We've been doing this for almost an hour. I like doing these. They have stuff like crosswords and newspapers and things, but I think these would be like a lot better with like being able to keep that memory. It's a good memory test. Let's say give another poem. A civil airship drifts to more. Is that starts with an H. It's like Heisenberg. What was it called? The airship. It caught on fire as it was landing. Crowds watched from the New Jersey field. Flames race along its painted skin. The frame collapses in seconds. A voice cries, "Oh, the humanity." I think I watched a documentary on that, and there was a guy who was watching it in real time, and he says, and he can't believe what he's seeing. I think that's what I'm pretty sure that is is it called the Heisenberg, which was Nazi Germany's like pride. I can't even spell it. Heisenberg. Is it I don't know how to spell it. The Hindenburg. That's it. The Hindenburg. Heisenberg is a physicist. Who's Heisenberg? Who's Heisenberg? Why did I make a new tab? Quantum mechanics. Also from Germany. During World War II. Breaking Bad. Walter White adopts Heisenberg as his alias. Interesting. Yeah, it was the Hindenburg. I say, give me one with 10 verses. Because I've been seeing the first line and I can tell what it is. Alice is lagging again, kind of. Photographs arrive from high above. Missile sites marked in careful circles. Briefings visible behind closed doors, separating through blue water. A line is drawn across the sea. Videos rate between heartbeats. Fingers hover near seed orders. Back channels speak when speeches cannot. One side blinks, the other exhales. The word suspect from the edge. I honestly have no idea. I have no idea. Cuban Missile Crisis. Spy plane photos, missile sites marked Soviet and Cuba. JFK's line drawn across the sea. Again, I would have to be there. If I was alive at that time, I would have figured that out. But I don't really know much about the Cuban Missile Crisis. I know they talk a lot about that, but like we're gonna have a repeat of it. But that's all I know about it. I say, give me another. I'm gonna have to end this because ChatGPT is starting. Atlas is starting to lag. A launch lifts clean to the sky. Three voices ride a pillar of fire. Days in a bank shutters the cabin. Lights fill no voices. Is Apollo 13. Although they wanted a, well, it was a, would you call that a pillar of fire though? I know that there were one to three. I think there were three guys on there. Launch clips clean to the sky. That sounds like a rocket launch. Days in, a bank shutters the cabin. Lights fail. Numbers turn wrong. They are losing oxygen. That's one of the problems that they were having. A lifeboat meant for landing saves lives. Yeah, they had to land in the ocean. Calculations scribbled on the fly. Yeah, ferry was not an option, and they had to do all of this blindfolded, basically. Cold breath fogs the darkened module and burning arc through Earth's air. Parachutes bloom and the ocean waits. Yeah, they landed in the ocean. It has to be Apollo 13. It's the Apollo 13 mission. It has to be. April of 1970. Mission not where it landed, but for the fact that everyone survived despite everything going wrong. Give me one in disasters. This would be interesting if we had like a multiverse and everyone was playing their own thing and everyone was trying to like guess what it was. It'd be like some sort of game show. That'd be interesting. Make like our own game show doing this. Give me one in disasters, and then we can pick different topics of what it is, of what it will discuss. A calm coast under clear skies, warnings fade as tourists stay. The sea pulls back and naturally forward, turning around our fish still twitch. A dark wall rises without sound. Sounds like a tsunami. Turning around our fish still twitch. Water swallows streets in seconds. A tsunami. Concrete breaks like paper toys. Cars float, then vanish inland. Phones ring long after towers fall. Towers. The shoreline is redrawn forever. What is that is pointing to? Towers fall. Warnings fade as tourists stay. Towers. They'll be like skyscrapers. I'm not aware of any towers falling when the tsunami, at least in recent times. It's some sort of tsunami. It's some. That's obvious to me. Tsunami, but tourism. I would think Haiti. Haiti had that huge tsunami that one time, like around 2011, somewhere around then, maybe 2009. There was a documentary in that, and I still meant to watch that. Someone told me to watch that many years ago. I still haven't watched that. That tower's falling. I'm not familiar with towers. It's not Fukushima because towers. I can't sound like I'm complete clueless about things. I completely did that wrong. I don't know, but it has nothing to do with a tsunami. Boxing Day tsunami, December 26, 2004. The Indian Ocean tsunami. Tourists on clear beaches. Local eyewitness description. Phones ringing up to tell us what total communication collapse. Are we talking about cell phone towers? Because that's kind of like phones ringing long after towers fall. I don't know if that inversion works, because how do you have a phone ring if the cell towers fail? Massive irreversible coastal damage. Deadliest natural disasters in recorded history. Yeah, you don't mess with those tsunamis. I'm liking this. But if I have to do that, then I'm gonna have to switch to Alice. Alice is lagging when you add more to the conversation. It doesn't operate like the app does. But yeah, guys, I'll end it here. I'll continue this in the next video, and I'm gonna see if I can try to get it into a more like a game showy kind of thing where there's multiple characters involved. I think that'd be interesting. I wanna try that out in the next video. So, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.